All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's always good to have you all here, carnated and discarnated. And it's always good to be back here from Isaac after a while. I don't come on a Sunday. And be back at TSS, be back here to learn together, to listen to another lecture. Today we're going to be talking about the satisfaction of doing the right thing. Something that I hope we all have experienced at some point in our lives, how good it is when we do something that's positive, not only for ourselves, but to the others, right? And we're going to have our friend Rafael doing the lecture today for us. But as always, before our lecture, we're going to have our initial reading, our initial prayer with our friend Patrick.
Good morning. So we read a passage from the book Happy Life, written by Divaldo Franco and dictated by Joana de Angelis. The pain that reaches you is yours. Nobody will suffer it for you. Your friends will take pity and try to help, but it will be nailed in the flesh of your soul. Similarly, the happiness that reaches you is yours. There will be laughter and satisfaction among those who love you, but you cannot share the feeling of jubilation with anyone. This being the case, when you are suffering, do not impose bitterness on those around you. When you're happy, you cannot make them feel happy. So let's now close our eyes, elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus, to God. Thank all the good spirits for the opportunity to be here another week, for the learnings, and for the opportunity to improve a little bit of our souls and get the intellectual knowledge. Please, let's ask the good spirits here present to involve our friend Rafael and the opportunity again to be here. Thank you, and so be it.
Morning, guys. I'm always happy to share this moment with all of you. And I would like to start by just acknowledging this day. The sun is coming out, and it seems, yesterday it snowed in Oshawa, but today the sun is out and it feels really good. And how many of us really stop in our busy lives to acknowledge the fact that we are incarnated? So we are here right now, incarnated. And this means that we received another chance to wake up. And how many times in our lives we take that for granted? So it's so easy for us to pass to the other side. How many friends that we have? How many friends we sat at that table there at the back to study the gospel together, to study the Spirit's book together, the medium's book, that are now back to their rightful places in the spirit world? That's because they already walked their steps, and it was time for them to go back. And that it can happen at any moment. We never know. So when we wake up to a new day and we come here and we take TTC, or the very simple things, it could be the last time. And that's not something bad. I don't say this to scare anybody, but we learn from Joana de Angelis that every day that we live, we must be to have in our conscience that it could be the last one, so that we can value the time that we have here, which is so important. And so many of us asked so many times to come back, and not only the chance to be here incarnated, but to have a healthy body, to be able to stand up and walk straight. to be able to eat what we want, to breathe, to listen, to see. So if we couldn't see, we wouldn't be able to see spring blossoming. So this is, I'm trying to convey the importance of having this gratitude for these small things that we take for granted. And if we do stop a little bit to see all that, we'll see that there's a balance, there's a harmony in the background, even though we see issues everywhere. We are always worried about something, about our jobs, our lives, our material assets. But in the background, there is this harmony, this balance that is always there. It's always there. And we can use the word love to describe that. So if we dive deep into the definition of love, it's more than the feeling that we have towards another person. Love, it's the force of creation. It's where we came from. It's what created us. It's inside of us. It's around us. We're always in love. And not in love as to another person. That is the exteriorization. That's the love of creation that created us being directed to another person. But it's much bigger than that. We're always inserted in this fluid that is love. And if we take that into account, we start seeing that there is this atmosphere around us. And we can use that to gather strength. Why is it that it's so good to invite friends over to have a dinner party just to stay 3 hours or 2 hours? We do it all the time, and we don't even feel it, but we share that love between us, or we use each other to get in contact with this love, and it recharges us. We feel stronger, we feel better. It seems that our problems are a little smaller than they were before. When we pray, what we did right now, we prayed so that we could receive blessings, or for me to be able to speak here. I can't speak. I can't be here by myself. I have to be inspired. I don't have that power. In order to get in contact with that inspiration, we all pray. And in that sense, the words don't matter. Really, it doesn't matter what we say. What matters is the inner action of getting in contact with this fluid that is around us, get in contact with God. And this sometimes when we are in a difficult situation and we think about praying, it feels that it will be a nonsense. I'm going to stop now to pray. But that's the moment where we actually need to. So we do as an exercise. We push it a little bit. You use that moment. You force it to see. Okay, I have 5 minutes, and I go somewhere. I sit down 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and you make a prayer, whatever you want, or you may not even say anything. Just to get in contact with this balance, with this harmony that is always there. There is harmony on everything that goes on this planet. It's in the background. It's in us. But then, if love is everywhere and is in us and it created us and it is our nature is love. And innately, we know that love is good. Nobody needs to tell us. We know it is. Sometimes we are very stubborn and we go in the other direction. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why we can't do that. But once we really focus on it, or we just pay attention to our hearts and our conscience, we know it's good. That's why in the Spirit's book, the Spirits tell us that all the laws are written already inside of us, in our conscience. So we have it all there. It's just a matter of listening to it. But if we have all the laws inside of us, and we have this harmony that created us, and it is our nature, why is that there is suffering in the world? Why is it that there is suffering in us? Why do we suffer? Why do we feel pain? And we see all these issues in our planet, climate change, famine, diseases, war, and general discontent. General discontent. I have a friend who is in his 50s, and he reached everything that he wanted. So he has the profession that he wanted. He is a top level. He has a beautiful family, wonderful house, and we worked together in the lab. The other day he told me that I don't see much sense in life. He's going through a situation, and I don't see the meaning of all this. So it's a person that has achieved everything that he wanted, but he can't see the value. And it's nothing external. It's not about the material assets. It's not about the family. It's because he lost contact with the background, with the harmony, with the love that is around. He just forgot how to listen and to see or to appreciate everything that he has. To have this gratitude, which Joanna de Angelis teaches us that it's an exercise. Kind of remind ourselves to be grateful for everything that we have. We lay down on a bed at night after a stressful day, or our body is very tired, and you have a bed to lay on. So this is so many people don't have that, and you have your bed there that is warm. Sometimes you have a partner that you love on your side. And in my case, there's a lot of dogs in the bed as well. It's even better. And that it's completely internal. It's us. We can be in that situation and be completely miserable. Or we can exercise the gratitude and trying to see what you have, and then it's going to flip. But if this is our nature, is to love, how come we can move away from it? So it should be something that comes with us, and we are always in awe, and we are always experiencing the love of God. When we become human beings, we develop a powerful thing, very powerful, which is continuous thought. This continuous thought, it accumulates matter around us, and we can create our own atmosphere. We create that atmosphere. And this is so powerful that we can move away from this balance, from this love. We move away from our own nature. And we form obsessive thoughts, an obsessive atmosphere around us that prevents us from listening to our own hearts. Even if that atmosphere is to our own demise, but we have that power. We have that. We are human beings. So because of fear of being hurt, we hurt others. We are afraid, so we hurt first. We cause suffering because we ourselves are suffering. Someone does something in the past that we don't like, that hurts us, and we don't forgive. And then the tables turn, and that person comes to our life again and is in a position where we can make that person suffer. And because we are still suffering from the past, we haven't forgiven, so that is still in our heart, is still hurting, we make that person suffer. We take revenge. And that seems good for that very tiny moment. It seems that, oh, okay, now you got what you deserved. Really? That person has already gotten what they deserve a long time ago, from the cause and effect mechanism that nobody can run away from. What we did, we doubled the suffering. We just, even though that person already received justice, we think that we should add to that justice and put, okay, now I'm going to give you even more suffering. And what happens is that we do not allow ourselves to stop suffering. So we continue suffering by making that person suffer, by taking the opportunity to take revenge. Again, we take another debt that is going to create another situation for suffering. And then it comes the satisfaction of doing the good thing. We have that opportunity and we don't take it. We don't take it. And it seems that it is the hardest path. It's once you do it, or you treat that person the best way you can. It's hard. But once you do it, you're going to breathe and you see, okay, I won. I won against my own passion. I won. I have that victory. And there it comes the satisfaction of having done the right thing. It's not like a material joy. It's different. Like when you eat Brazilian flan or milk pudding. Oh man, that's so good. That takes me to the high spheres. I want to eat every day. But if I eat every day, I'm going to have problems. I'm going to have diabetes, or I'm going to get really fat. So it's not good. You have to do just a little bit. It's not that joy. It's a bittersweet joy. But it's everlasting. Once you eat that piece of pudding, then you forget about it. You remember there's also something really, really good. It tastes awesome. But it's not going to add much to your life. But when you do the right thing, that is sometimes is very uncomfortable and bittersweet because it hurts a little bit. It stays with you and is going to add with you. It's going to add to your life. Another example. Our friends that go to Africa for the Fraternity Without Borders. It's not a comfortable trip. And when you get there, you don't see wonderful things. You see a lot of suffering. But there's the satisfaction of being there and helping those people. So it's bittersweet. But it stays with you and makes you grow Some of us drink alcohol, so drink a martini, and that's okay. You drink at that moment, that's it. But for some people, when you touch that substance, it brings a huge amount of information from other incarnations, and that it awakens something inside of them. And where other people, they could sit around the table and with friends and drink a little bit, those people that remember what alcohol means to them, they forget about everything else. And all they think about is that class. And they keep thinking about that, and they keep thinking, I need another one, and another one, another one. That's part of this obsessive atmosphere that we have the power to create. Those are the addicts, and all of us have a little bit of that. And for those, the satisfaction of doing the right thing is doing everything they can to avoid a situation where they're going to be in front of that class. If they would go to concentrate in the pleasures of the flesh, or what will be most pleasurable is just to keep drinking. That's what they want to do, is to keep drinking. I'm using only one example, but it could be so many examples. It could be many other things. But every day that any addict, let's put all of us inside of this. It could be the addiction of gossiping. It could be the addiction of complaining about everything that happens to you. It could be sugar, social media. So every day, once you identify what is your addiction, every day that you don't go, then you don't do that action, it gives you a satisfaction, even though it's very uncomfortable. It's bittersweet, but you have that victory. One thing that I use for my addictions is I make a list and I put on my phone, and then I count the days. So then when I feel like doing that again, I go there and see, oh, it's been 30 days. So if I do that, I'm going to erase those 30 days of victories. And then that gives me a little bit more strength. And then I don't do it. Or as Divaldo said once, a person that wanted to commit suicide. Okay, you can do you can commit suicide. I cannot prevent you from doing it, but don't do it today. Don't do it today. Let's talk about it tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll say again, don't do it today. Wait for another day. And that's the same thing with us. For this particular situations, this particular, we all know that thing that we know is bad for us, but we crave for it. If we think one day at a time, we'll get there. We'll get stronger and stronger. Until one day where we don't feel that craving anymore, and we don't have to count the days. We are okay in not doing that again. And then we still feel that satisfaction of doing the right thing, not just for us, but for everybody around us. And there are those spirits who are already identified as pure spirits, that they don't have these cravings anymore. They already went through that. But they still suffer. There is one book that I want to bring to your attention called Renunciation. Renunciation is another incarnation from Emmanuel. And in this book, he's a priest, but he's not the protagonist. He's just there, and he has contact with these people and with everything that's happening. But the protagonist is a spirit of light called Alcyone, and she identifies as a she, as a female. She doesn't have to come to our planet anymore. She doesn't have to incarnate. But the person that she loves, another spirit, and this shows that the power of love is not just for those that we have everything in common with. So the person that she loves, it's in a much lower sphere. And the book starts with both of them in the spiritual realm. And the male spirit, he's thinking about all the times that he failed, that he came as a priest in several types of religions, and he always failed. And then he thinks about the one that he loves, which is the spirit that is high above. And then Alcyone comes to him, and she does a lot of effort so that he can see her, because she's in a very high sphere. So it's a completely different range of frequencies that she leaves. So in order for her to be able to be seen by him, she has to condense and to vibrate in a much lower range of frequencies. And then she does, and then they talk. And then, of course, he has to come back, since he needs to try again. And he wants to, he requests that. And then she thinks, she goes back to the high spheres, and she asks her supervisor, I want to go. I want to incarnate with him, and I want to do everything I can to help him. And then the supervisor says, okay, but your life is not going to be easy. Think about that. You don't need to go. If you do go, you're not going to rest. There's going to be suffering, hard work. And she said, yeah, okay, sure. And they both reincarnate. And then it goes throughout the book. And you see that that person, to that family, nothing goes right. It's amazing. She discarnates very early, but throughout her existence there, she suffers a lot. There's death, there's disease, there's poverty. And then we think about it throughout the book, and we are reading, okay, now something good is going to happen, and no. And you think about it, but why? Why does she have to suffer that much if she doesn't need? She already lives in love. And then there is you read the preface from the book, from that Emmanuel lives, saying that those are his memories. As he's the priest, that is, it has a very intimate relation to this spirit of light. When I say intimate, I say they're very close friends. And he was kind of a mentor. But then when she grows up, she displays this light to talk about the gospel, even reincarnation. So this was 17th century France. And everybody would stop to listen to her. Just a very young girl. Everybody would stop to listen to her about Jesus. And even more important than her words was her example, because she was going through all this suffering. And there was always people around and seeing her making the decisions to do the right thing, even though it would hurt her, it would be uncomfortable, but she was always doing the right thing. And then when you read Emmanuel's preface, you see that it was never about her. The suffering was not about her. It is about us. It is for us to learn from that example. It's the same with Paul of Tarsus, Chico Xavier, Jesus himself, they suffer to bring light to us, to show us that even among the difficulties in life, we can feel satisfaction, an internal satisfaction of doing the right thing, even if it's very uncomfortable to us. But the fact that we know that that is the right thing, it gives us the strength to keep going. And all these spirits, all these books, they, they, in the end, they always talk about the way these spirits are received in the spiritual world after they discarnate. And it's always a complete joy. So they are always surrounded by the loved ones. They are always received by a family. Paul of Tarsus was received by Jesus himself with a hug. So it shows us that the importance of doing the right thing while we are here, while we are in this trial. And Alcyone, in the end, she meets several times with the person that she loves, that spirit that she came to inspire. And in the end, that spirit, the male spirit, it becomes a priest again. And
His name is Carlos. Carlos.
Yes. So before I think it was Pollux, and now the incarnation is Charles in English. And he becomes a priest, but he forms again that atmosphere around him because of his suffering. So he starts making people suffer because he himself is suffering. And he joins the Spanish Inquisition. And since Alcyone was this spirit of light and talking about Jesus, and of course she disrupts the system and she's arrested and she dies in prison from the Inquisition. And before she died, this spirit visits her, and then he all that atmosphere, all these shields, it comes crashing down because he recognizes the one that he loves, and he understands the responsibility that he had in her death. And then, of course, the remorse comes as a ram. That's one of the facts that we all know when we are in the wrong, and we raise all shields of ego and pride to prevent us from getting the remorse, because once it comes, it's a pain from within. It shows us the gap between our thoughts and actions and our own nature, which is, as I said before, love. And it hurts. It hurts because it's a disease, it's a wound in our soul. And the only way for us to fix it is by working, by coming here over and over again and keep working, keep working. So then her suffering was to touch the hearts of all these people. And of course, she's a spirit of light. But that, it happens to all of us. We all have this opportunity. We don't have to wait to be perfect spirits. As well, the way to get there is by working. So we can do that as well. We never know who is watching or who will be touched by our actions. So that uncomfortable situation where we do the right thing, we know that we're doing the right thing, there will be people there watching us, and they will remember what we did, and they'll take that as an inspiration. So we never know when we can be the inspiration for another person. So it's not just for us. So this is what happens in this process of learning how to love, learning how to use love as an action, as a part of our life, we stop thinking about ourselves and we stop taking, but we learn how to give. And we see that even though we are very, very small in the universe, very small planet with tiny little people, who are we? We are not insignificant. We were created. We have the same value of everything else and everyone else. And we were created for a purpose. And we make a difference. Wherever we go, we make a difference. It could be one tiny moment in an incarnation, but we do make a difference. So we have that choice to do the right thing, and it's going to be satisfactory. We're going to feel the satisfaction. There's another particularity, because we need to strengthen ourselves to be able to do that, to have the strength to do the right thing. And where do we start? They all agree. Emmanuel, in the preface of the Renunciation, and throughout the book, we see Alcione's behavior and Jesus' behavior. There's another book, Jesus in the Home. And all of them, they mention the same thing. We start in our own home. Our own home is this sacred temple where we fill with love and we learn to control our passions in the home. So then when we are out in the world, we can do the right thing. In this book, Jesus in the Home, by the Spirit Neo Lucio, it talks about several lessons from Jesus that was delivered in Peter's house, on the table eating. So they're just talking. The whole book is him talking to that family in Peter's house. Several lessons. And then the disciples, they would go to the world and preach. But they got everything there. Churches, spiritist centers, they always start in a house. When Paul went in his trips and he created churches, it was always someone in a house. It was always someone's home. A home as the core of our spiritual development. When we are there and we have disagreements with the family members, which is not hard, so with our partners, that is something we forget that so often. That's our home. It's our temple, and it's where we get prepared to go out in the world and do the right thing. So we start doing the right thing there. It's not by chance that we are born in a home and we live in that home for our first years. And when we leave that home, we all know that we're going to put in practice what we learned from our family, our parents. So that is extremely important. And in that house, in Peter's house, Jesus, he talked about a lesson that is, to me, is very important. It touched me a lot. Of course, he always uses very simple analogies so that people would remember them. And in this one, he talks about the grain of wheat. So at that time, or even now, wheat is very important because it makes bread and it makes flour, and we make bread from it. And it used to be one of the main food for them at the time. So the grain of wheat, as Jesus explains, it falls somewhere, it creates roots, and then it takes dirt from the road, it takes rain, it takes cold and heat, and it continues growing. It keeps growing and then start multiplying, still being beaten around by weather. And then he said that that's the same thing with us and the gospel. Once we have that feeling, we listen to whatever lecture or lesson, and we feel in our hearts, oh, that's the way I want to go. That's what I needed to hear. This is when I know that when we know that it took root, when this grain of wheat, it created root. And from that moment on, there's nothing you can do to stop it from growing. So we were all touched by the gospel. And it's growing in us day after day. It continues growing, and it will always grow. And it's going to take over us. And as the days pass, we become stronger and stronger. And we start perceiving ourselves moving away from things that we know that they are wrong, but we couldn't. We still used to do that. But then as the incarnation, the days go on and on, we see they passing, one incarnation, another incarnation, and we see that naturally we are moving away from what used to cause us pain. So this is very important, and it creates a lot of hope, because we know that all of us will be strong enough one day to always do the right thing. And at that moment, it's not going to be bittersweet anymore. It's going to be a permanent satisfaction. Satisfaction of being alive, satisfaction of being whatever we are. And then we'll be so strong, and we're going to carry that strength with us, that we're going to ask to be sent to a place full of pain, so that we can also inspire those that are there to take this grain of wheat and allow that to take root from our own examples. So this is the joy of doing the right thing, satisfaction. That we are going to keep doing it. Maybe sometimes, maybe today, we have to think a lot and we have to make an effort. But that is going to become easier and easier as we exercise, as we maintain contact with this love that is inside of us, that is our own nature, until there will be nothing else left. All the weeds are going to be out of our hearts, and all that is left in there is the tree of the gospel, and we'll be always satisfied. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you for a great lecture to help us. Do you have any comments or anything on the internet? No? Any comments or questions? Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting what you brought about the love that's inside us and how we can make it grow. And it's almost like putting back the responsibility on us again, right? Like we sometimes put that on others, like to make us happy, to find the accomplishments or the fulfillment, as you were talking about your friend, right? And we forget that we have the whole responsibility and accountability to be happy and to find joy in our life and learn through the experiences that we go through here. we know nothing happens by chance, and if we're going through difficult moments, it's for our own growth and improvement. We just need to ask for the strength to be able to actually go through it with resignation. So I thought it was really interesting to like remind us about that.
Yeah, and that's what Joana Genesis was telling us in the message at the beginning, that nobody can be happy for us, and
Yeah.
nobody can suffer for us.
Yeah.
So it's our responsibility, and we can do it.
I think it's interesting as well, the way that we humans inside of blood thinks about happiness, in the way that we read that spirits thinks about happiness. We think about all that energy, all that love, that it's more close to passion
Hmm.
and love, and how balanced is love actually. Passion is it's not balanced, it's unbalanced, right, by definition. But I think what they call love and what they call happiness, it's very balanced, it's very smooth.
Yeah.
It's calm. It's calm.
It comes with a serenity.
Yeah.
So it's the difference between exciting our senses of this body. That there's nothing wrong in laying down in your bed at night and you feel the rest in your body, the relief, or to eat flan. But we need to see that, to understand, that's what the spirits try to tell us, that that's not happiness. That is a sensation that you're having. Happiness, it's, as you said, this is smooth. It's something that it grows as we keep doing the right thing, as we keep obeying our own conscience. It starts slowly and starts building up on us, creating peace. It's not like when for people who like sports and that their team scores and they feel that exhilaration and that joy at the moment. That's not it's something that goes like this. It's like a straw fire that starts and goes. The happiness that they're talking about is it stays with you. It creates serenity. You don't go to one side or the other. You stay serene in the middle. It's always calm. You don't need anything else. You're always pleased with what we have in front of you.
To listen to your lecture, it's funny because happiness, it's something that's internal and personal experience. Like I said, you can have everything so-called perfect, because then you have to talk about what's perfection around and still unhappy inside. So it is, and it's only us can make ourselves happy. And as much, but it's funny because as much as it's an internal and an individual process, it only happens through the connection with the others.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why this era that we're living right now, like the illness of the century, is called depression, right? Because we taught and we believed for so long. Talk about you're saying and what Raquel was saying. We thought about so long that a perfect life, a happy life, is a life where I have a house, I have a car, I have a family, I have this, I have that other thing, and my clothes have to be in this way, and I have to look in this way, and that's what's happening, and I have to be constantly excited. All the time I have to be excited, and that's exactly what you're talking about, right? The difference between love and passion, because passion, that's what it is that fire that goes. Love, no, love is calm, right? And then and now with the society we live today, most of us are achieving it: house, a car, this and then, but still empty, right? It's still empty. It's still empty because there is still so much suffering around us. And around us is this whole globe, because now these days with the internet and everything, around us is the whole globe, right? And there's so much war going on, so much famine like you brought today, so much things happening that there's no way for us to be happy. And that's a philosophy that the African tribes have, and the Ubuntu. That's exactly what Ubuntu talks about. I cannot be happy if my brothers and sisters around me are suffering, right? So it's this concept that we have to now to try to change what's happiness really. What is that love, right? Why we have everything very unhappy inside. We almost cannot be in touch with that love, right? Because that's what it is. We start to think that happiness is out there, and the connection with the love is out there. It's here, right? That's why God, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. So I have to find the love inside of me and start to spread around, because otherwise it's just that emptiness. And yeah, I may have my moments of excitement. I did this trip, it was amazing, the trip, but then you come back and go back to drunk, like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's gone, right? It's moments of euphoria that don't last and don't create anything better inside of me. When we're doing an action of charity, of fraternity, something that it hurts, like I said, right? A lot of them it hurts, but I know that the results was good. I know this result made someone better, made someone there less. That sensation of fulfillment, it stays with you and becomes their own example for yourself to say, oh, if I want to feel that lasting thing, I just need to keep doing it and maybe do a little bit more. And that's what I need to change inside of myself. And then it builds up, right? And then one day we'll be like Alcyone and in the planet Sirius, or reincarnated in the planet Earth, right? All right, any other comments or anything? Rafael, thank you so much.
Thank
So thank everyone that were with us over the internet. Hoping to have you here back next week.